Welcome to the Brightside podcast. This week we're exploring nature. I'm Millie, your host for this week, and recently I feel like we've all come to appreciate and value our time outdoors.
And I'm Laila, the surprise host for this show, and I'll be trying my best.
Well, this week we've asked our guests to tell us the place in the world they would most like to visit. The plane tickets are free, there's no travel restrictions. Would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us your mystery location?
Hi, my name's Addy, and my mystery location would be Canada.
Hi, my name's Evan, and my mystery place is anywhere in Japan, basically.
Hi, I'm Nate, and just Iceland. Iceland, everything about Iceland, love it.
Oh, no kidding, that's my one as well. Yeah, I really want to go and see Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights.
Once upon a time when Thomas Cook existed, in town they used to always advertise trips to the Northern Lights, because I think you have to go in February or January time to actually see them.
I was going to say, even during that time, what if you miss them? It's just such luck if you get the right week. And it'd be so disappointing if you put all your hopes and dreams into seeing this kind of natural phenomenon and it's just a cloudy day.
You're speaking exactly to my painful moment of going to Iceland.
Oh no, did that happen to you?
Yep, blizzard happened when I went. It was completely just frozen over. There's snow everywhere. We couldn't even go outside, so we sat in a hot tub in the middle of a blizzard, just like, we can't see anything.
So your view was just like pure white.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's so sad.
The snow was about like 3 feet up or something. It was up to my knees. I think I fell in it about 3 times. But the hot tub in a hailstorm was nice. Yeah.
Go for that any day. You paid a lot for that in some parts of the world, don't you? They do spas where you have to go in like a hot tub and then you jump into a freezing ice pool.
Sounds awful.
So, Addy, why did you choose Canada?
Well, I chose Canada for the different wildlife you can see there, the native wildlife you can see there. One of them being a grizzly bear, a moose. You can see, what's the plural of moose?
Meese.
Mooses?
Mooses. You can see Canadian cougars, the giant Canadian goose, and you can actually even see whales, which is something that you can't see from UK. Not Wales the country, Wales the animal, the mammal.
I've always wanted to see the whales.
Free Willy and all, you know.
You can see whales in the UK. I've seen them. I went to Scotland and it's so cold up there, you get certain types of whales that do just bob about up there.
Oh my god.
But when you find out sharks are like around the UK coast as well, and I don't want to go swimming.
Are they?
So
Oh yeah.
some parts of the UK coast.
It's mainly Cornwall, I think, isn't it?
Excuse me?
Evan, why did you choose Japan? Because I'd want to go to Japan because they've got a whole island that's just full of cats and nothing else.
Well, there's a new factor for me then. I'll take that. But no, I'm obsessed with different types of ways of life and culture and things like that. And Japanese culture is just some of my favourite things on the planet. I love like the whole high-tech stuff like Tokyo and stuff that has all the highly electronologically, if that's the right word, advanced type things with all like everything they've done to build themselves up as a city.
Like
But
toilets.
Yeah, I was
sure.
going to say toilets.
Yeah, sure. One of them too. But I think my favourite thing is like the traditional Japanese like cherry blossom styles, like places like Kyoto and things like that. I think that is where I would love to go.
Honestly, the cherry blossoms in Japan are so beautiful. Like I see pictures and like videos of them and it's just so gorgeous. It's even gorgeous like here in Leicester. We have, I think, like the occasional cherry blossom. Like I think there's one in Oadby. And it's just so nice.
And also, when I think Japan, I immediately go to the technology side of it, like you, Evan, and I just think of those sushi restaurants where everything just comes to you. And I think I was watching a video the other day. If you get a certain amount of bowls, you get to play a game and then you win a mystery toy. I just live for that. I want to be rewarded while I eat my meals.
It's a shame they're all so expensive and it's like the bowls are so small, but you take one thinking, oh, it's just a small portion, but it ends up being like an equivalent about £3 for this bowl of like 4 little sushi rolls, and you're like,
Yeah, I find those places like really overpriced. Like they're really nice, authentic Japanese restaurants in Leicester, like in the town centre, like there's Wakazi. Just so good. And honestly, a really good value for money, because you get not just like a really nice authentic dish, but they don't scam you like they do in those belt type of restaurants. It's really
like
Yo
Yo
Sushi.
yeah, exactly.
Down with Yo
Like,
Sushi.
Call it out.
I can't remember who it was, and then I think it might have been you, Addy.
Yeah.
Or someone called it the McDonald's of sushi.
It wasn't me, but I agree with that.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was.
Have you been to Bonsai Sushi, Evan?
That is
No, funnily enough, I don't eat fish or anything, and I've tried vegetarian sushi before, and I'm just not the one, apparently.
Oh no, I've zeroed in on the one thing you don't like about
I honed in
Japanese
on
culture.
the meat.
My cousin well, not my cousin, technically it's my dad's cousin. She went to Japan a few months ago, and apparently he spent £200 on one meal, which had the rarest beef in the world or something.
Is it Wagyu beef?
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
the Japanese Wagyu beef, yeah.
Wagyu
Yeah.
beef.
How is it that much? He said it was heaven in his mouth, but like still.
I think it's the way it's prepared. So I remember my uncle telling me what makes it special is that pre-care of the cow, like they massage it, and they massage it, I think, in alcohol, and they feed the cow certain things, so like the meat is nice.
Yeah, and this when you cut the steak, you can see like. Sorry to talk about meat.
I feel like we're hijacking
Oh no, it's fine.
Evan's lovely topic and just
I love
holiday
how we
ruined
talk-
by beef.
I love the fact that we, instead of talking about nature, we're all talking about food now.
Well, food comes from nature, it's fine.
you can link anything back to nature. That's the beauty of this episode.
Another thing about the cool things in Japan are the hotels, and one of the hotels I've seen, you can go in a box.
Oh, the
Like a
pod ones.
cardboard pod, yeah, and just lie down. You can kind of sit up in it. It's a long cuboid piece you can just climb into. I want to go to Japan and try out every single type of hotel. It probably costs like hundreds of thousands of pounds that I don't have, but I'd like to do that.
It looks so high tech. Do we move on? Oh, actually, Laila, do you have any place you want to mention? She's eating a digestive biscuit.
That's
So
the most inopportune time.
You caught me off guard there, Millie. The only thing that I could possibly think of would go back to the Sahara Desert. So I'm from Egypt, for those of you who don't know, and we've got a lot of desert, a lot of sand. And something that I used to do as a child is we go take day trips to the desert. So the desert is just so beautiful there. Like, you think it's just sand, but the landscape is so, I don't know, it's just so calming. And it's like looking out into the sea, but it's just all sand. And then occasionally you find an oasis, and they're just so beautiful because everything's just so dry, and suddenly you've got water. And yeah, it's so wonderful. It's also really, I don't know what the right word for it is. It's just really contrasting in the heat as well. So during the day, it's so hot, but because the sand can't keep the heat in, at night it's freezing. Like, it's absolutely freezing. So yeah, I think I'm just reminiscing. Yeah, it's actually a very popular holiday destination in Egypt. You can go on a safari, you can go camping. You think, oh, there's nothing in the desert, but there's so much. There's also a lot of activities you can do. Like, you can go sandboarding. It's like snowboarding, but in the sand.
what?
And see a lot of fossils and remains of all sorts of animals. Like, there's this massive whale. Like, you can see its skeleton in one of the oases in Egypt, and it's just so surreal. And occasionally you'll find an ancient Egyptian temple. So
Wow,
yeah, it's pretty exciting.
the desert.
The nomad life.
I want to change my answer.
That's all right. Everyone's answer was really great. I also really like that everyone's picked out very different things. Like, we've got the ice in Iceland, and we've got the cherry blossoms in Japan. We've got the moose from Canada, honestly representing.
Shall we move on to our next section of the podcast, which is inspirational news stories, which we've dubbed the Inspiration Station. And this week, there's actually quite a lot to talk about for nature. about happy, positive news stories, because I know at the moment it's very doom and gloom in the media, but just focusing on the bright side of some of what's going on. We've got loads.
She said the title.
Yeah, so basically, like, there's been a huge change in the environment over the past few weeks, and the carbon dioxide and nitrogen dioxide in the atmosphere has fallen by as far as 40% in some countries like China and other places. So the air quality has improved so much. And you can just see examples of like nature returning to locations around the world. So a really famous example is the swans going through the canals in Venice. And another really nice example is in the Indian region of Punjab. They've been able to see the Himalayas for the first time in 30 years, even though they're 120 miles away. And usually you just can't see it at all because of the air pollution.
It reminds me of that meme from Leicester University, nature returning to Victoria Park.
Yes, for those who don't know,
the virus.
Yes, someone posted a picture of our local park, Victoria Park, with dolphins jumping over.
Oh, I've seen that.
Which, I mean, that would be pretty miraculous if that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing I just want to briefly mention is I go on about the bees a lot because I love bees and I know we need to protect them. And someone sent me an article from the American Council of Science and Health, which says actually it's a myth that bees are disappearing. And actually, over the past few years, bee populations are relatively unchanged, and the only difference is in honeybees, which kind of aren't native to Europe anyway, and they were brought over here. So I just thought, we're always worrying about it, still try and help the bees, still like plant more plants, do whatever you can, but I thought that was a nice little fact.
I think we all had a lot of tunnel vision towards the bees, and we were all like, bees are dying, tunnel vision, we need to save the bees, and then everyone forgot about the rest of everything that probably needs help too.
If you focus on the bees, then you know.
Yeah, I'm always get really happy when they announce, oh, this species is no longer endangered. It's always a happy moment because they're always announcing, oh, this is now endangered. When they announce that, oh, we're helping these ones out, it's always really nice. But it's also always get really sad because there's so many endangered species. I'm like, I can't focus on all of them. I can't save all of them. I feel like,
choose your favorite.
Yeah, I donate to the WWF Foundation, and I'm here to save the turtles.
I also donated to Save the Turtles. I have a little turtle plushy thing.
Wait a second, I've got one.
Is it a little like brown one?
Just wait, she's fetching. She's making a dash for it.
Oh.
Here it comes.
That's the exact one I've got.
Oh, that's precious.
She sits next to me in bed. Not in like a sexual way or anything like that. But I have, like, he just sits on the pillow next to me and he's like adorable.
Well, mine has been kidnapped currently by my little sister. She's currently holding on to that turtle somewhere.
I'll place him here.
Oh, that's a lovely view.
Oh, he's in the view.
I don't have a news story, but I have a little factoid about the UK. I got a question. How much do you think a crayfishing license is in the UK?
More than a fiver.
I would say it's something like ridiculously low, but not too low, like £100 maybe.
Ooh.
I didn't even think there were crayfish in the UK.
Well, actually, they are free. The license is free because in the 1970s, the UK introduced the American signal crayfish to our farms for local farming, because their claws are much bigger than our native white-clawed crayfish that we have in our rivers. Unfortunately, the crayfish escaped and started breeding extremely quickly, and now is an invasive species that digs and burrows under rivers, preys on our local frogs, and also passes on this lobster plague, and our white-clawed native population of crayfish has gone down. So that's why the government has made the crayfishing license free, so people are encouraged to go and fish. It's illegal to throw them back in, so you have to take them once you've caught them. Yeah, I really want to do this.
Honestly, I do too. I remember because I grew up in Alexandria, which is by the Mediterranean Sea. One of the things I used to do as a child was to go fishing, and a friend of mine once caught a crab, and it was like the biggest thing ever because we'll all get like teeny tiny fish. And then she got a crab, and we're all like, wow, I got a crab, can we eat it? We like eating crab in Egypt. So yeah, very exciting. I remember there's something similar with people hunting an animal. I think it's rabbits in Australia, I think.
Yes.
Someone brought rabbits to Australia, and they started mating, and they were just producing way too many rabbits. So they were like eating the crops, I think, something like that. But I remember them saying that people think, oh, we're hunting rabbits. It's like a bad thing. We should leave the rabbits alone. But there are just too many rabbits around. We need to hunt them because there's no biodiversity in this area. So yeah, that was my take on it. So without further ado, let's start on the best part of the podcast. And it is the quiz.
Woo! Oh, Lord, it's a coming.
Before we start the quiz, Addy, Evan, and Nate, you must choose a team name.
Whoa. We did not discuss this beforehand.
We didn't even think about this, did we?
That could be it.
How about the countries we chose and then combine them?
The cold
Ice.
cherry blossom mooses.
Yeah, okay, yes, absolutely.
Got it.
Sounds like a 2000s boy band, like.
Cold cherry blossom moose.
Mooses, yes.
Mooses.
I'm happy with
Oh, I have full responsibility of that and I'm ashamed.
this is your baby.
Album coming out soon.
So, Evan, would you like to announce the team name?
Hello and welcome to the quiz section of the Nature Podcast featuring the cold cherry blossom mooses.
Woo!
All right.
Just to remind people of the format, so basically you guys are one team, you're competing against all the other teams from the other episodes, and at the end, the team with the most points will win the prize.
We don't know what the prize is yet. Being
It's just
decided.
satisfaction.
Not only is it the satisfaction that you guys are just better than everyone else, it's also going to be a really cool gift, we assure you that.
As well as that, you win pride, you win honour.
Oh,
We've already
I like the
won
glory
best
bar.
name.
Yeah.
But honestly, you have. It's a great name. You guys got 14 questions. You guys get to choose between A, B, or C. Out of the 14 questions, one of the questions is a trick question, where either all the answers are correct or all the answers are false. So you guys need to decide as a team what question that is. Are you guys ready?
Go for
Ready.
it.
Do you have any questions?
No.
What are the answers?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Question number 1. What type of fish bark? A, piranhas, B, dogfish, or C, eels?
It's not dogfish, I know that.
That one sounds too obvious.
My vote's on the piranhas, but what do you
Surely
guys
a
think?
piranha just goes.
No. It is piranhas because my dad used to have one. Yeah, he had a piranha called Brian.
Oh my
He said it
God.
barked.
Piranhas. Well, congratulations, piranhas was correct.
Oh, thank you. I
We've
thought
got
you were
more
going to
than
say
0.
congratulations. You were wrong.
We're going to do that on every question. You were like, misspell it.
We wouldn't even know if it's right or wrong, and at the end it's like, congratulations, you got 4 points. Great.
So basically, they're known for their sharp teeth and the fact that they eat meat, but they can bark. So they're really aggressive, and their bark-like sounds scare off other piranhas.
So it's like an intimidation tactic.
So I guess they're very territorial in their
Mm.
packs.
They are. And like when I was little, I wouldn't go swimming in like the local pool because I was so afraid of piranhas. And I'd seen a really scary wildlife documentary on them. Moving on to the next question. What is the rarest of these gemstones? Is it A, diamond, B, sapphire, or C, tanzanite?
Oh God.
Well, I know it's not diamonds. It's
No.
it's me, Addy, with the I know it's not one of them. I guess I'm like the
50-50 chance
eliminator.
then.
Yeah. So it's
What
not
is
diamonds.
tanzanite? What is that?
I
don't
think it could be an
actually know what
ore.
tanzanite is.
diamonds aren't actually rare. They can be synthetically made, and it's actually big diamond that inflates the prices of diamonds and makes people think they're valuable. But you can actually make them in a lab, and you can't tell the difference between a real diamond and a made diamond.
They actually, like, when you have a diamond, like, just in its raw state, it looks pretty much similar to quartz. You cannot actually tell that there's much difference until you actually get around to cutting it, which is what makes the diamond look all shiny and pretty. But otherwise, diamonds are actually kind of ugly.
Yeah, I think diamonds, so we took this in one of our marketing classes. Diamonds are as regular as any other gemstone, but people have just put a lot of significance on it and have given it a lot of cultural value. So you associate diamonds with wealth, and you associate diamonds with usually getting married and getting engaged. And it was a whole marketing ploy by De Beers, who are like, they're not manufacturers. They just own, I think, the biggest part of the diamond industry. And it's been like their master plan in like the 1950s.
Yeah, I think, didn't they set up the first large-scale mines in South Africa? That was probably one of the most successful marketing campaigns in history.
It is, because it's like 50, 60 years on and people are still buying diamonds, and people still think that diamonds are just really valuable.
The value of a diamond comes from how hard it is to actually cut it, because it is still the hardest mineral. Like that is an undisputed fact, really. But it's so hard to cut that it costs a lot of money to make it look shiny and pretty, which is where a lot of the money comes from.
So what answer do you think is correct? Do you think it?
Half tempted to say sapphire, because I think it's a form of beryl. I think sapphire is a form of beryl. I don't know this because I haven't got into second year yet to do actual mineralogy, because I failed my first year.
Well,
let's not talk about it. But I think sapphires come from beryl, and I don't actually know what tanzanite is, which is the main issue.
Well, that'd be my reasoning for going for tanzanite, though, because I've not heard of it. Therefore, it would be rarer to not hear of it.
But it could be a misleading question.
I think so. I'd vote for sapphire.
Let's go for sapphire.
See, my gut's not agreeing. I'm not going to lie.
My gut is also not agreeing, but I'm thinking it could be a trick question.
But they always say go with your gut.
Yeah, but sometimes your gut's wrong.
90% of the time it's right, though.
I doubt that.
It is. They always say go with your gut. I'm sticking with this one, I think. I don't know why.
Okay, I want to go with my gut, which is tanzanite.
If it's wrong, it's on my head. I'll accept it.
I'll go for tanzanite.
If it's wrong, it's on my head. I'll take it. Fine.
Okay, so you said tanzanite, and tanzanite is the right answer.
Woo!
Go with your gut, people.
Yeah.
I was texting Millie, and I'm like, believe in yourself, Evan. Trust your gut.
Yeah, and it's for exactly the reasons you spoke about. Diamonds are actually quite readily available compared to rubies and sapphires. And rubies and sapphires used to be the gems that were used in engagement rings. It's just after whole media campaign, suddenly diamonds are this symbol for love suddenly. But yeah, tanzanite is so rare that aside from purchasing it, the only way you'll ever obtain tanzanite is by traveling to the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro in northern Tanzania. And it's a blue-purple stone, and it's extremely rare. Like, they think in about 20 to 30 years, it will be completely mined out and you won't be able to get any more of it.
Woohoo! Take down Big Diamond. Please don't snipe me.
Yeah, this reminds me of like a movie recommendation that is really good. I'm like hijacking this a little bit, but there's a film called Uncut Gems that stars Adam Sandler, and it's available on Netflix. It's a fantastic film where Adam Sandler plays this jeweler in New York who manages to get a black opal, or what he thinks is a black opal, and black opals are really rare. And it's all about greed and him placing bets, and he wants to sell it, and he wants to make more money. Really like highlights this really interesting idea about how much value we put into these gemstones. So yeah, it's a great film. I cannot recommend it enough. It is probably the most anxious film I have ever seen. I had to watch it in 2 parts because it will give you an anxiety attack, but the good kind.
The best kind.
So I just did a little bit of research. Basically, when I was talking about beryl, I realised now that beryl is actually what is what emerald is. It's a variety of beryl. And rubies and sapphires are a form of corundum. So I got that mixed up, but at least I was somewhere on the right track.
You were there.
Beryl is my Nan's friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only Beryl I got.
But you guys did really well. You guys are on a winning streak. Should we move on to the third question? How long is the coastline of the UK? Is it A, 12,429 kilometres, B, 19,717 kilometres, or C, 31,368 kilometres? So we've got 12, 19, or 31,000.
Well, this one threw me off. Well, how many miles is it to London?
Well, they say it's over 1,000 miles from Land's End to John O'Groats, I think.
And that's in kilometres. That is like 18,000 kilometres or something? No, 16,000 kilometres.
So, like, coastline, meaning, like, the edge. What's the
Yeah.
circumference of the UK? So, should we go for, like, the biggest, 32,000?
Because I know 5 miles is 8 kilometres. So 1,600 kilometres is from one end to the other
So, it's more than...
by like maybe 3.
So, 32,000? Around.
That seems a bit too high.
I think it would be the 12,000 then.
I would have gone with the middle one. The
What was the middle
19,000.
one? 19,000.
Yeah,
Still too low.
I think that sounds about right.
the 19,000 one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You don't.
It's all right. Addy's done the thing of ruling out 12,000. He's got rid of one.
I did it.
Should we make a guess? Just gamble on it. We're not going to figure it out by sitting here and doing the maths for like half an hour. That'll be
No, I dropped out of that subject as soon as I could.
Length questions, I think, is just like a guess. But it's usually the middle one.
Yeah, we'll do the middle one then.
Oh.
You guys picked 19,000, B.
Okay.
Congratulations. You are not correct.
Yeah, you did it.
So basically, you guys missed your opportunity because
That was
this
all wrong.
a trick question.
Oh, so all of them were correct. Oh, how's that even
Is it
possible?
now?
So this is really interesting. This is something called the coast paradox, because basically it was observed a few decades ago that the coastline is completely different depending on how close you are to the earth. So the closer you get, the more jagged edges you see around the coastline, the more it kind of curves and moves round. So
Oh, wow.
all those options we gave you were correct. So the first one was from the World Fact Book, the second one was from the World Resources Institute, and the last one was from the Ordnance Survey. And they're all right. They're just taken from different magnifications of the globe. And it's really interesting. It's something called fractal dimension, but I can't do
Wow.
too much into the science. But
Why has someone not gone around with a tape measure and measured it properly? Honestly.
Yeah,
When quarantine
okay.
is over, Nate, you can take your tape measure and you can go on a road trip around the UK and measure every single point.
Do you know what, Laila? I might just do that. It'll probably get me published somewhere in a book like, oh, look at all this work you did to figure it out, the actual size. And then it'll get published. And then 2 years later, some of the cliffs will collapse and my figures will all be wrong.
oh no, that's true. By the time you get to the other end, it'll have changed because of coastal erosion.
The area near to Hull on the east coast, that is just getting decimated. Ironically, there was a little town called Felnsea, which fell in the sea.
Oh.
Hey.
Like legitimately, because all the rock there is made out of like clays and stuff, which is so easy to break. The sea is just taking it, and Hull, next 50, 100 years, won't be there.
Oh no.
No.
Right, let's move on to the next question. What is the maximum length of time that snails can sleep for? Is it A, 3 hours, B, 3 weeks, or C, 3 years?
It's 3. It is 3 years. But I saw that meme. Somebody Googled how long do snails sleep for, and like the first result that Google had picked out was just 3, and it was like the coma meme was like, "Hi sir, you've been asleep for 3."
In your nature facts off memes.
I actually knew this before that in some nature fact book I've read. They hibernate up to 3 years.
I
And
didn't
now-
realize things could live that long.
I've said this with so much confidence, and then if we go to the answers and it's wrong, I'm gonna look like such a tool.
This is the trick question. They're all right because it's 3. That's it.
How what was the question? The maximum time a snail can sleep for?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
maximum length of time.
I want to know how long a snail's lifespan is, because that is ridiculous.
Well, it is correct.
Yay!
Holy fuck.
Well done. Yeah, it's certain land snails can sleep for 3 years in hibernation or estivation. And although that sounds great, like a 3-year nap, I want one of those. Like, but actually, like, it's a sign there's something wrong. So snails need moisture to survive. So if the weather isn't cooperating, they sleep for 3 years till it gets better. And snails don't really pay attention to day or night like humans do. So on average, a normal snail will probably sleep for about 13 to 15 hours and then wake up and do whatever a snail does for 30 hours. And as to how long a snail lives,
I've already looked that up.
oh, you're way ahead of me.
So it depends on the type of snail. So they can live anywhere between 2 to 3, all the way up to 10 years, depending on the type of snail.
Imagine being the snail that's lifespan is 3 years, and it just goes to sleep for 3 years.
And then just dies out of nowhere.
Oh my god.
It's like, oh, that was a good nap. Time to die.
I'm head out.
Oh,
Oh dear.
I
Oh,
live to sleep, literally.
That should be like the caption of this episode. We sleep to die.
Oh God.
when you were
This
like,
is supposed to be the bright side, Laila, not the fucking dark side.
the fucking dark side. We should make a spin-off podcast called that.
like the anti-version of this one. It's like really bad news stories.
Instead of like the sunshine, we'll have like thunder and lightning.
The logo would be so easy to change to that as well.
Well, at
Oh.
least in Thunder and Lightning, the snails won't be asleep.
We hope not.
It is. It's like the ultimate petty move. It's not sunny today. I'm going for a 3-year nap. I'll see you.
Let's go on to our next quirky question. Okay, so question number 5. What is the average weight of a single cloud? Is it A, 100 pounds, B, 100,000 pounds, or C, 1.1 million pounds?
Well, this all depends on what kind of cloud you're talking about here.
Mm.
It's the
Um,
average, so I think like the average between a small cloud and a very heavy cloud.
Okay.
The average chunk of a cloud.
I know it's not going to be a thousand. Was it £100 or £1,000?
It was £100, £100,000, or £1.1 million.
If it's 1.1 million, I am now. My new fear is clouds. Like they just
Imagine
become
getting crushed by a
Yeah,
cloud.
you don't want that falling on your head.
death by cloud.
If you think about it, though, one cloud, it stores, it's all just pure water, and water is pretty heavy, and that can store a lot of water. When it says, like, usually it'll rain for, like, 2 inches worth or something like that. They always measure rain in inches for some reason, even though it's never enough to flood.
And clouds are big.
Yeah.
I want to say 1.1 million just out of pure comedy.
And what is a cloud? Is it?
Oh God.
What is a singular cloud? You know,
What is a cloud?
Are they all joined together? Are they one uniform?
Well, I could definitely see like
Family.
one of those like, thunder clouds being 1.1 million because they are huge and hold so much water.
I think 1 million.
Yay!
Yeah,
All right, I've
million.
got 2 votes for that. We'll go for that then.
I'm just too stubborn to let anything go at this point. I'm too competitive.
1.1 million. And the only thing I have to say is I like big clouds and I cannot lie. That was correct.
Woo!
Chunky clouds for the win.
Well done.
Yes,
Well,
that's correct. Evan, your gut instinct.
Listen to Evan Scott now.
I get competitive and then my gut's like, I've got answers.
So yeah, like Surprisingly enough, the average cloud weighs about 1.1 million pounds. You would think that they're like really light and really fluffy, but they're not. It's really
They're
strange.
terrifying.
I'm now terrified of clouds.
Luckily, they still float at that weight because the air below it is even heavier. So really, you should be afraid of the air around you.
Could you just imagine one day the air stopped working and clouds just come to squash everyone? This is how we go, just death by cloud.
Death from above.
Basically.
Time to point our weapons to the sky.
Yeah, so the way they calculate it is that they take the water density and they multiply it by the volume of the cloud.
Oh.
I'll move on to the next question. What is the natural colour of flamingos? Is it A, pink, B, grey, or C, white?
It's not pink. It's either. My mind either went. It's either grey or white.
I didn't know any different until now.
It's they get the colour from the shrimp they eat.
Oh my god, I know about this. I think it's grey.
I genuinely did not know this.
No, it goes off the diet. It goes off the diet because there's some flamingos that are orange.
Then why don't we turn into different colours?
We are different colours.
Not from our diets.
Exactly. I'm not exactly green from being vegetarian. I'm not a plant all of a sudden. I photosynthesize my way through life.
I think they said that if you eat a lot of carrots, you do turn a little bit orange.
Oh yeah, you do turn a bit yellow, don't you? I think it's grey.
So grey is the right answer. So
Woohoo!
you're just storming this. Yeah, and the reason is flamingos eat a large number of algae, larvae, and green shrimp, and they contain beta-carotene, which is a red-orange pigment. That's basically all they eat. So that's what causes their colour to change. You're right, Nate. If a human did eat like purely green shrimp, you would start to go that colour a bit, but you might also die because you would be eating nothing else. Whereas the flamingos get everything they need from this diet.
And I got a little factoid about why lobsters turn red when they're cooked. And it links with the shrimps because shrimps also turn red when they're cooked. So lobsters and crabs are actually red. They can be anything from blue, green, grey, olive green, or brown. But lobsters, crabs, and shrimps have a pigment called astaxanthin in their shells. It's already there and it's already red. But when they're alive, that pigment is wrapped in with another protein called crustacyanin. So this complex gives off a blue-green color. And when you cook them, all the protein denatures and unravels, leaving you with the red pigment. And the reason flamingos turn pink is that they digest when the proteins break down in their tummies and stomach, and that's the pink pigment there.
Here comes science lessons coming at you.
So, question number 7. For each human on the planet, how many insects are there? Is there A, 800 million, B, 1.4 billion, or C, 6.4 billion? So you choose between 800, 1.4, and 6.4.
There's a lot.
This is not something I know.
I think I've read it somewhere. I don't know where I've read it, but I've read it.
I feel like I've read it as well.
6.4 is too high, but I'm sure it was over 1 billion. So I think it is 1.4.
That's a lot of bugs.
Wait, but if you think how many swarms and stuff.
Yeah. Fucking ants everywhere. How many ants are in like a hive? There's usually like millions in a hive at once, isn't there? An ant colony.
I don't know, I just know the film Ants.
Not a good reference point.
A quality film, though.
Honestly, it is. It's a great film.
Oh.
And we can never forget the B movie.
B movie made by DreamWorks.
Space movie.
No possible way that a bee should be able to fly.
We should have made you guys say 5 quotes from the B movie.
We can do that.
Okay.
Yellow, black, yellow, black, yellow, black. Oh, black and yellow. Yes, let's switch it up a little. Barry coming.
Yes.
Evan,
It's yogurt night.
Thinking
sorry.
bee, thinking bee.
Yeah.
We should honestly give them like a bonus point for that alone. Just quoting the Bee Movie. Yeah, back to the question.
I think it's 1.4 billion.
Well, thank you, Evan's magical gut. That's correct.
Woo! I know, I've read it somewhere. There is just an army of insects ready to take us all over. This is how we go, lads.
They're such a like invisible force, and we need them so the world can keep on running. They're really important to like help us. They basically not only clean the planet, but they help produce food for us. So even if they can be annoying at times, we really do need them.
Did you know that before Jurassic time, like before dinosaurs even existed, bugs used to be like the primary thing on this planet, but they used to be giant.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
There was giant bugs. Just imagine like a 2-meter long dragonfly or something.
Think of how differently life would have been if the dinosaurs hadn't happened, and then if their extinction hadn't happened. Like, we're here so by chance.
Very,
Less
very
rad.
much by chance. The odds of us being in existence, like when you look back at the reason that humans have evolved, everything is done just by pure miraculous chance. Just because of one fish species that decided to go on land one day. All those tiny little things added to the fact that they didn't actually get hunted and they didn't go to extinction. It's just mad.
It is, and then there's us as individuals. Like, what if our parents didn't meet? What if our grandparents didn't meet? It's all...
The butterfly effect.
Absolutely. I'll move on to the next question. What bird can fly the longest? Is it A, eagles, B, swifts, or C, doves?
Oh.
I have no idea what a swift is.
A swift is a small bird, and it was meant to be one of the fastest birds.
Are any of these migratory? Are doves migratory birds?
That's what I'm trying to think.
I was thinking eagles aren't migratory birds. They don't need to fly very long.
I would have said eagle because they have a long wingspan. I read somewhere that they can just glide for ages.
But they don't need to go that far, do they?
They need to go to America.
They don't go anywhere else, though. They stay there. I don't know. Are doves not migratory, though?
My mind went to dove, but I don't know why.
Well, eagles don't, like I said, they don't travel out beyond their hunting ground, really. Even though they can fly for a while, I don't think they necessarily fly over oceans and stuff. Whereas I think doves do. But I think doves are migratory and would need to travel across the oceans and would have to be able to fly for a long time to be able to do that.
How long do you think is the longest a bird can fly?
I have no idea.
Some birds migrate from
2 days.
Africa to the UK.
Well, if you think as well, doves are a symbol of freedom. Isn't that like possibly because they're migratory birds and can fly for so long?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So you're going for doves. I'm afraid doves isn't the right answer. It's actually swifts.
Well, we're all
As
wrong.
long as it was an eagle, that's fine.
So swifts are actually amazing. I loved reading up on this. If you haven't seen them before, look them up. They're quite small. They're found throughout Europe and much of Asia. And a new study reveals that these birds spend nearly their entire lives in flight, even eating, mating, molting, and even sleeping while they're flying. There was an amazing research study from Lund University in Sweden where they put these data loggers on these birds to track their movements and see where they went on their 10-month migration from Europe to sub-Saharan Africa and back. And they realized 3 of these birds never stopped flying for the entire 10 months. And the birds that did stop only took short breaks, which amounted to about 0.5% of their travel time. The only reason they ever come back down to Earth is so that they can create their nests and hatch their eggs. Like, they even sleep when they're flying.
So wholesome.
I love birds. I want to become one of those elderly people who has a bird feeder in their garden.
I thought you were just going to stop at bird and then you just wanted to become a bird.
I wouldn't mind that either, to be honest. If I'm ever reincarnated, I want to be a bird.
There's a birds park here in Leicester where you can go and visit birds. Like it's like a zoo, but specifically for birds. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, like an aviary.
Yeah.
But talking about birds, that ties into the next question.
It does, it does. So we've got question number 9 now. What's the name for a group of parrots? Is it A, a pack, B, a pandemonium, or C, a lurry?
A pandemonium.
That'd be terrifying.
That I like the sound of that one. I mean,
They're
if you
the
think about
quickest.
parrots are chaotic beings anyway, so surely someone was probably like, this is pandemonium, because they're hearing all the parrots squawking and making funny noises.
Should we just have the quickest quiz
Quickest
question
answer ever. Purely just on
not think about
pandemonium.
it? Because we thought about the previous one so long.
Yeah, honestly,
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. We're going for it.
Pandemonium.
right? It is pandemonium.
Woo!
Oh.
So they're called either a pandemonium, company, or flock.
But of those, who wouldn't choose pandemonium?
Oh, that's lovely.
I think my other favorite name for a group of birds is crows, because they're just called
Oh, murderer crows.
crows.
That's so sinister.
Yeah. My grandfather used to have parrots. When I was growing up, he had about 7 parrots, and they used to just walk around the house. So they weren't in a cage or anything. They just kind of lived in the house like a dog. And one of them would sit on his shoulder, and he would read the newspaper, and he'll be reading the newspaper with him.
Oh.
So yeah, it was quite cute. So instead of a cage, they had their own room. Yeah, there was a little room on the roof of the house, and they used to just sit in that room and fly around, and then he'll take them out and they'll sit in the flat.
That's wholesome.
It was quite surreal. But yeah, it's really cute. And one of the parrots could actually talk back and make noises. And he didn't like my grandma. I think they shit everywhere. My grandma used to hate them. And they'll shout at her and be like, "Go away, we don't want you," and say really to her. And my grandfather would find it really amusing. It was out of a comedy. The parrot sitting on my grandfather's shoulder having a discussion with my grandma. Go away, don't like you.
Oh no.
Go away. We don't
grandma-
like you, badge.
Your grandma must have had to put up with so much.
Honestly, yeah, I think the parrots, they all died at some point, and my grandma was so happy when they died. She was like, "We're not getting more parrots."
We're done.
It was literally like an indoor zoo. Yeah.
Right, shall we move on to the next question?
Okay.
So here we go. What percentage of the planet's water can be drunk? Is it A, 0.5%, B, 3%, or C, 15%?
I believe it's 3.
I believe it's 3 as well, since
My mind went to 3 before the answers came up.
70% of it is the ocean, which is not drinkable.
And then there's seas and stuff on top of that.
I thought it was 0.05. Well, I don't know it.
Technically, most of the water that is on land is in the rocks, and all the water that's actually in the rocks is drinkable. It's entirely pure water, mostly, unless it's been infiltrated by the ocean. So all the water underneath, London, for example, even though you can't see it, there is water there, and it's drinkable.
There's about 2/3 of all drinking water on you don't see. It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Should we go for 3%?
Okay, you're going for 3%. Well, I'm afraid it's actually 0.5%.
No. Oh, wow.
So this is information we got from the NGWA, the Groundwater Association. And yeah, it's 0.5 because, as you rightly said, Nate, water covers 71% of the Earth's surface. 97% of it is in oceans, too salty for drinking or growing crops or anything like that. 3% of the Earth's water is fresh, so that's where you might have been getting the statistic. But 2.5% of that is unavailable because it's locked up in glaciers or polar ice caps or atmosphere or soil.
So that's all I was sort of thinking to myself, that water is still drinkable.
Yeah, it's technically both, but
If you get a chunk of ice and melt it down, you can drink it still, but I get what it means.
if the world's water supply was 100 litres, our usable supply of fresh water would be like 0.003 litres. But in actuality, that's a lot. Like, that's 8.4 million litres per person on Earth. But the problem is we're just not very good at sharing it out.
Oh no, we're absolutely awful at it.
We're the
Stay hydrated, kids.
Yeah.
Actually really bad. There's so much water shortage in like the south of England. They've had to like start digging for water in the northwest, like near the lakes and stuff, and then have to drive it all the way back down to the southeast because London's there and they're drinking all the water, and they're like, oh no, now we've got no water left, so they have to repump all the water from the northwest into the southeast, and it's just
I mean, there's that, but there's also, the entire continent-wide drought in Africa.
I can vouch for that.
Ironically though, Africa has a lot of water. It's just that they don't have the means to get it. It's the development of their equipment to be able to basically get wells and go into aquifers, but they actually do have quite a large aquifer. It's just they can't access it, and they can't get the resources to dig it up and then drive it from one location in Africa to another location.
And there's a lot of politics involved. Like, for instance, the Nile River goes through so many countries, and if one of the countries on the way builds a dam or something like that, then the other countries don't get enough water. So it's like really difficult to like politicize water. It's like really heartbreaking when countries have to go into war because of water supply. It's so sad.
We're just so inefficient as a species.
We're just not meant to last.
Yeah, because we're so lucky to have this water cycle. Like, the supply is continually collected, purified, and distributed for us to natural locations. And very lucky it never goes down. Like, it's just our population changes. And what's really interesting is the water you drink today is most likely to have been around in one form or another since the dinosaurs existed. So hundreds of millions of years. Like,
that is, while technically true, it's all the water we have now is the exact same water that we've had from the beginning of Earth's creation.
Yeah.
That has not changed. Unless, of course, someone's took water into space and dropped it off there, or we've had a comet hit our atmosphere at some point, which we actually have had a few comets hit our atmosphere, so there might be a few drops of water that's like new around the block, but
I want to drink some space water.
Okay, on that note, we can move on to the next question. So I think this question is really cute. What age is the world's oldest tree? 4,000 years old, 56,000 years old, or 80,000 years old? So that's 4, 56, or 80.
I don't know.
I think 4,000.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's more than that. Some trees can last for a long ass time.
I don't know, I would have said 4.
Me too.
All right, we'll go with 4.
So
Yeah.
you've picked 4,000 as your final answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's not true.
Wow.
No.
So the correct answer was C, 80,000 years old.
Oh my god, that's so
Where
old.
is this tree?
So this tree is called Pando. It's a quaking aspen, and you can find them in, I decided that he's a he. You can find them in National Forest in Utah, USA.
Wow.
And this tree is like incredible. So when you look at Pando, it's a clonal colony that shares one underground root system. So although Pando may look like a grove of individual trees, they're actually all genetically identical clones. So that's one of the reasons Pando has survived so long, is because it can continually clone itself. Though one good reason to try and improve our climate situation is that researchers think that Pando may be close to dying just because the tree's been declining for a few decades in size and it's slowed down producing replacement trees. But it has lived for 80,000 years, so, I mean, it's not had a bad run of it.
It's had its fair share.
Do you think Pando's friends will be like, they were so young,
Nice. I'll move on to the next question. What is the most poisonous animal in the world? Is it A, the box jellyfish, B, the poison dart frog, or C, the inland taipan snake?
It's not the
Wow.
taipan.
I think it's the poisonous dart frog because I think I saw this on Deadly 60.
With Steve Backshaw.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a G! What a G!
Let's have a moment of silence for Steve Backshaw, Bear Grylls, and the crocodile hunter
Berman?
Steve Irwin.
I thought Steve Backshall was still alive.
He is.
Oh, yeah, he is. I just want to honor. I just want to remember him.
Panicked for a second there.
No, he's alive. But as a box jellyfish, just has stingy barbs. Is that even
No,
poison?
box jellyfishes are deadly.
But
they're the
is it
deadly ones.
considered poison? Because a poison
Yes.
is something that when you eat is bad
No.
for you. Venom is something when you get injected in, something is venomous. So if you eat a poison dart frog, that is poisonous.
So they do secrete
What?
into the skin. So I don't. Is that venomous if it secretes into your skin, or is that poisonous if it secretes into your skin?
Venomous. Poison is something you eat. Yeah. So I think froggy,
I think froggy.
even though it's the only one with poisonous in its name, and it could be a trick. I think it's poisonous froggy.
I think it's poison froggy too.
My gut says jellyfish, but we'll let your gut talk this time.
Yeah, you're.
Oh, right.
a lot
Let's
of
do
time
it.
Spotlight.
Okay, so you're going with the poison dart frog, and that is the right answer.
For you.
And it's for the exact reason you said of the box jellyfish is technically the most venomous animal in the world, because if it stings you,
Venom versus. Oh, that's where I'm going off. Yeah, venom versus poison.
yeah, death will occur within like 5 minutes if a box jellyfish gets you. But yeah, for the reason you said, like the jellyfish and the snake have to inject their venom, whereas the poison dart frog, like anyone that tries to eat it is just in trouble.
Don't you get those indigenous tribes or something that used to like lick them to get drug trips?
I was literally thinking that.
I'm sure that's a
Lick
thing.
them to get high. Yeah.
Lick toads to get high.
Yeah.
It might be. I'm not sure if it's this exact frog.
Oh dear.
I wouldn't recommend.
Do not try this at home. If you see a poisonous dart frog, don't lick it.
Let's move on to our cutest bears in the world, pandas. So a panda question. What colour is a panda's skin? Is it A, white, B, pink, or C, black?
Maybe pink.
I don't know. It's like the whole what colour's a polar bear skin, though, isn't it? As well.
Yeah. Polar bear skin is black.
So would it be the same thing as having black skin?
I thought like a polar bear skin is black to retain heat.
Like, black items will heat up faster, but I think they lose their heat faster.
Yeah.
And white heats up more slowly, but loses their heat slower. So if you have white fur, you're essentially, if you get heated up, you're going to stay heated up for a longer time.
Yeah. I think pink because there are pink baby pandas.
They are pink babies, yes. They are. They're pink babies.
Yeah, I'd say pink.
Between pink and black, but I'd say pink.
So you guys have picked pink, but our panda bears are not pretty in pink. They're black.
Oh,
No.
another one.
It is the polar bear idea.
Pandas are such
careful.
like, interesting creatures. Like the only thing they do is eat. Like they spend about 14 to 16 hours eating every day. Like they're so unthreatening. They don't hurt anybody. They're not a species that, other than humans, other animals hunt. So we're the threat to the pandas. But an interesting fact about pandas is that when they give birth to twins, they only take care of one. They disregard one. So this is why pandas usually only have one child, is because they abandon the second child.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Because they're genuinely too lazy to look after two.
Oh.
I hate pandas.
It makes sense because it's like conserving energy to make sure they keep one alive, but it seems pretty brutal from where we're standing.
Yeah.
They have the one child policy.
Yeah. I think it was a BBC documentary where they had a panda in a panda sanctuary and it gave birth to twins. So the way that they kept the other baby alive is they would swap the babies out. So she'd take care of one and then they'd swap the babies out and then she'd take care of the other child. And that's how they're keeping both of them alive. Panda's not looking.
I got a factoid about koala bears, which is another, in other people's opinions, can be considered another annoying, useless bear. Koala bears only eat eucalyptus leaves and from a tree. And if you pick the eucalyptus leaves off and put them on a plate and give it to them, they won't eat it. And if you locked them in a room full of food, they would starve to death because they only want to eat eucalyptus leaves off a tree. And eucalyptus leaves are really bitter, have so little nutrients, and are really hard to digest. So we're like, why do you want to eat this? You're welcome.
Really fussy eater. Right, so moving on. We're on to our final question. So, what are there more of? A, trees on the Earth. B, moons in the solar system. Or C, stars in the Milky Way.
What? Oh, wow.
Okay, so is this a trick question? Because I'm thinking stars, but then moons in the solar system?
Jupiter's got at least 20, or Saturn has at least 20. One of them's got at least 20.
Yeah, I feel like there's lots more.
That's going to be less than trees anyway.
Yes, it is. Yeah, we can get rid of moon.
There's definitely more trees. But in the Milky Way, that is a galaxy. And the galaxy is pretty big.
I was thinking, like, was this a trick question? Because it seems, obviously, stars in the Milky Way. Unless it's like, the Milky Way doesn't have any stars.
Oh, no.
Trees? I don't know, not trees.
My logic going off this is, it's the nature episode, so trees.
There's a bias.
And I reckon it'd be quite deceptive on how many trees are on Earth.
I think it's trees.
Yay!
I think it's trees. I don't know. I feel like it's
If
trees.
it's stars, I'm killing you both.
Okay. Oh.
There's a lot resting on this one. So I'll go through them in order, lowest to highest. So you're right, the lowest is moons in the solar system.
Oh.
There's 200. And then stars in the Milky Way,
There's trees!
there's 250 billion plus or minus 150 billion, because they're not 100% sure. But even if it's 150 billion plus, by far there's more trees than anything else. There's 3.04 trillion trees on Earth.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
So I think
He's doing his work.
it's really misleading. So if you think of like how many trees there are on the rainforest in every tree in the world, even like tiny trees, you can have really small.
Yeah, I'm looking out the window and I can see at least 10.
We know there's at least 10.
Don't worry, I've got you covered. And there's even a hedge.
And the next question, how many hedges are there in the world?
At least one.
We got a hefty chunk correct. We did pretty well.
Yeah,
Oh,
honestly,
probably.
guys, you're doing so well.
So you all got 9 points.
Yeah.
Woo!
And now you still have a chance to get some more points in the bonus round.
Yeah, 5 questions. You need to get all 5 correct, and you get an additional 3 points. And we'll only announce if you got the answers correct in the end. Honestly, I think it's going to be hilarious.
Yes, because this is a bit different to the other episodes. Whereas we thought we'll mix it up a bit with nature, and we're going to play you some animal sounds. And you're going to have to guess what animal made the sound. And we've made them animals you'll definitely know.
For a hard challenge, I'll hear it and then I'll reenact it.
No.
So we could just.
We're playing to win, Addy.
What animal made the sound?
Yeah, that's a fox.
It is a fox, but also, what?
How did you know it was a fox?
They scream.
Yeah, they do. They screech.
So you're saying a fox for that one. We'll reveal if that's right at the end. The next one.
Oh.
A dolphin.
Oh. The first bit I was like, excuse me?
I thought it was an otter at first, and I was like, the otter's
I thought it was a seal or something. He said dolphin.
On to the next one.
Oh no, I'm crying.
What?
I'm pretty sure that's Whale song. But Lord, was it a journey?
Oh my god, yeah, Wales.
Was it? I thought it was Wales, but then there's like this other bit in it.
What was the other bit? Tell me what the other bit was.
I heard a lot of nightlife and like chirping in the background, so I thought it was like maybe coyotes or something, because coyotes make a lot of weird noises.
I don't think it was in underwater.
Can we have the sound again?
Yeah.
Unless it's just a fucking elephant.
I think it's a whale.
I think it's Wales. You're right.
Because the static would just be like if, say, there's like a submarine picking up like the sonars that they emit, like the crackly extra noise on that.
Wales.
Yeah, we'll go for Wales on that one.
All right, we'll move on to the next sound.
I think it's guinea pig.
I don't watch enough nature documentaries.
It's a guinea pig.
Are you sure? Because I have no clue.
Because it goes, woot, woot, woot.
I know they make a weird little whip, whip, whip.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll trust you on this one, because I
Okay.
haven't got a clue.
Oh, I have the final effect. Are you ready?
Oh, God.
I thought that was just Addy. I thought it was just Addy making that noise. Oh, that's a fucking owl.
I'm assuming that's an owl.
Yeah.
I literally thought it was just Addy in the mic going,
Ooh.
moo.
So we'll go through now and reveal which of those animal noises was correct.
So, for the first one, you thought it was a fox. I'm proud to say, boys, you guys were correct. You
Yay.
got Fox County proud.
Yes, you got the first one right. And for the second one, you thought it was a dolphin. And that was also correct.
Oh, thank God.
Woo-hoo. Oh, jeez.
The stakes are getting higher and higher. For the third
Yeah.
one, you guys assumed it was a whale.
It took a while on that one.
And you did Dory proud. It was a whale.
Oh.
Yes! I did do what I wanted to do the
God, I'm
impression
scared.
of. Do you know? I wanted to give it a go, but I thought, better not. But now I've just done it and incriminated myself. It's fine.
It's fine.
And for the fourth one,
Oh, no.
you thought it was a rabbit.
No,
Oh, we
guinea
thought it was
pig.
a guinea.
Oh, well.
It's a rabbit.
No, we thought it was a rabbit. We thought it was a rabbit.
Oh, no.
I read rabbit and I just said it. I'm afraid it wasn't a guinea pig, it was a rabbit.
Very
Oh,
close.
dear.
Very, very close. You guys were so close. Like, honestly, that did sound like a guinea pig a little bit.
Because it's another small creature. I mean,
Yeah, you got like the gist. So the last one, you guys assumed it was an owl, and that was correct.
Come
And
on.
I think we should give them the point just because those sounds are almost interchangeable. Like that could have been a guinea pig.
I think we might as well give it to them.
Tell you what, I'll put in here a similar audio of guinea pigs to compare. If they sound similar enough, we'll give it to you. Yeah, I think those are similar enough.
You guys did really well,
Woo!
and I think we'll give you the 3 points.
Hey!
Yay, we did it!
Brings you to 12 points in total. Congratulations, boy. Or
Woohoo!
shall I say,
Cold
Cool
cherry blossom mooses.
I'm so proud of
Amazing.
them, guys.
Now we're moving on to the next part of the podcast, and every episode we have performances, be it monologue, music, or even stand-up. And this week we've got a poem from a very talented member of our university. Laila, do you want to introduce her?
yes, so everyone knows the wonderful, the wickedly talented Abena Bediako. She was an ex-LUT member, and she writes beautiful poetry, has the most wonderful singing voice.
Today she's going to be performing Birthday Song, and it's going to be some spoken word poetry.
Oh, yes.
Hope you enjoy.
Every year, on my birthday, 2 songs would be sung. One in English, and 1 song in Tree. And every time my parents spun their native tongue into a birthday song for me and my sisters, my eyes would beam and lock on candles, ready to blow them out. My ears would perk up and open. I was ready to be reminded where I came from. Every time I hear the melody, I am reminded of a little black girl with a face smeared in rich chocolate icing, still holding a chunk of cake, but unwilling to share the rest with her sisters because it tasted so sweet, and because birthday cakes so good only came once a year. Home videos always showed that I was torn between the cake and the music when my father would play Ghanaian songs from the likes of Kojo Entry and Daddy Lumba from the clunky black stereo. And a mini-me would bounce from beat to beat, shriek and smile to her favorite song, Amrika. This was a love song, and the name meant running, and I would do exactly that with all the energy my little body would allow. It was always a mix of cultures. Some days we would listen to British hits on Magic whilst peeling onion skins for Sunday dinners. On others, we would chew on fufu with soup instead of swallowing it, much to our parents' disappointment. Today, I still lap up every ounce of fried plantain with crispy edges and soft insides of a steaming bowl of my mama's bean stew. But I still love deep pan pizza, spaghetti, and deep fried chips. I am Black, British, Ghanaian. And I guess sometimes that mix is a little confusing. And my parents would always push to preserve the fluency of our native tongue in me. And some days I wish I had tried a little harder to keep its flow unbroken. Because now my attempts warrant giggles from my parents and my aunts alike. But as I navigate both cultures, I know not all hope is lost. My words can still be strengthened. Both cuisines are still enjoyed, and I may not be an avid fan of chocolate cake now, but I can still sing the song that my parents sang to me. Me ba apna isa, ene yuwa wuda, sorry bejiweni, na donya miasyo. Sorry, but you winnie, na donya miasyo. In England, in this country that I was born, I understand this precious Ghanaian birthday song to mean this. My child, Abena Issa, today is your birthday. Rise up and thank God and have fun. Rise up and thank God and have fun.
Well, that was lovely.
Wow,
Isn't
that
so
was beautiful.
And her singing voice is so stunning.
I think because it's so personal, it's just
It's authentic.
That was just a pleasure to listen to. That really resonates with me because I was born in Nepal and moved to the UK when I was around 4 or 5. So I've had the privilege of growing up here. And something that came with that was I'd have British culture outside of the house at school, and I'd have to get used to that and learn about that. And then I'd also
have the pressure of keeping up with Nepalese culture at home. And recently I've grown to appreciate my home culture more, and I've just realised that I can have the best of both worlds. I can pick and choose best bits of British culture and the best bits of Nepalese culture.
You can have love of both cultures. And yeah, it was amazing.
Oh,
My geology teacher, all she would ever talk about is how much she loved Ghana as a country, and it's weird. That's all I ever really learned about throughout my time in geology is just loads of stuff about Ghana, and it's really a cool place.
oh, thank you, Abena, so much for sending us that.
Like, it's so nice that we have all these amazing volunteers who have given us really great pieces to put in our podcast. So thank you, Abena.
Thank you, Abena.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Let's move on to the final part of the podcast. We're nearing the end. So basically, every episode we want to support a different charity. And this week we have chosen the WWF, the World Wildlife Fund. And they're struggling at the moment, as a lot of charities are, because all their fundraising events have had to be cancelled. So it'd be great if you could support them. They're a wonderful charity that safeguards our wildlife, looks after rhinos, tigers, turtles, and more from threats such as poaching and habitat loss.
A great way to help the WWF is by donating to a specific species. So on their website, you can pick a species and you can pick out how much money you can donate. I think you can donate up to £2 a month, which is really nothing. £2 a month, that's less than a drink, really. And it really helps the WWF try to preserve these species and these wildlife.
And if you support an individual species, they also send you a stuffed toy.
Yeah, like the one that I have with me right now. So I donate to the turtles. I get a turtle update about every month, every 2 months, and I get a little stuffed toy.
It's so cute. I used to support a tiger. I think I still do, because not that I would want to, but I don't know how to delete my subscription. It's a very happy tiger.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. You guys have been a great podcast.
Oh, it's been a
Thank
pleasure
you,
to be on.
Yeah, it was
amazing
great fun to be
teamwork.
on.
And now we can go outside and see nature for real.
Yeah,
I can
thank
go
you,
to
Laila.
synthesize.
This has been the Brightside podcast, created by me, Millie Henson, produced by Laila Eldarwish, and co-hosted by Matthew Harper and Rebecca Hughes. This podcast focuses on positivity and the wonderfully weird things our world has to offer. Thank you for listening.